So you want a gank, but use Oakensoul. What actually works? Hey, it's Dan, and welcome to Unified Gaming. So in this one, I want to break down my 1-bar Oakensoul ganker. You've probably seen on the channel a 2-bar version already that is crazy broken, and this is the 1-bar version. As you'll see, it allows you to do stuff just like that. It has really high burst, and it's just an absolute blast to play. There are 2 versions for this, one with the black gem monstrosity, and don't panic, there's also one for those people that don't have access to it. The build itself does utilise a sorcerer base class, so you do need that, but the damage is crazy high as you can see. And with these ones, it's been tested thoroughly on live and on PTS, so if you like all that stuff, then do let me know by liking and commenting. It really helps out. And if you haven't done so, do subscribe so you can stay up to date with the channel. And before we jump into the build, if you want to see more of this gameplay, then do consider becoming a member on the channel. You get access to the videos early, exclusive builds and guides, and much more. There are details down below. And this video right now is available for Bronze Plus members. With that said though, we're going to jump straight into the build and I'll break it all down for you. So build wise, what are we doing? For your race, you want to be a Khajiit. The advantage of a Khajiit is that it gives you lots of crit damage, but more importantly, you get something called Feline Ambush, which reduces the detection radius. This is fantastic. What this basically means is that you can get really close to people, or they can get close to you, and with some of the sets we use, you can pretty much sit invisible next to them and they cannot pull you out of stealth. It is super useful. You also get some stamina, magicka, and sustain. If you're not a Khajiit and you want to have good damage, a Dark Elf is fantastic. That's a really good second choice. And then any other race that has max resource and weapon or spell damage. High Elf, for example, Orc even. So there are some options. The race won't make or break a build, but if you're going to make a ganker, you're better with a Khajiit in all honesty. And as I said, this is a sorcerer base class. As for the attributes on this one, we have everything into magicka. Now this is a ganker and we do use a staff, and I know some people are thinking, what about the bow version? What about, Tarnished Nightmare? What about Anthem's Construct? I've tried all of those and this is the best version, so we are using a staff, but even with those specs, we still stat magicka, because every 10.5 magicka is worth 1 weapon or spell damage. So it just means it's loads and loads of free damage. You might be worried about our sustain. These are really high because of the set, so I'll touch upon that later. But just know everything into magicka. For the Mundus, we are putting the lover. This is more penetration. The higher our penetration, the more our damage gets through. I have tried the shadow for just really high crit burst, and it's super nice. But if you don't crit, then you have really low damage. The lover just helps normalize that, and the difference is very negligible, so the lover is more consistent, and I would recommend this personally. As for the consumables on this build, you want to use Minstrel Banana Bunny Hash. This is like the best in slot food for this build. It's max health, which is what you need to stay alive, and it's max magicka. The max magicka is really high for just blue food, which means you get loads of free damage. This is fantastic. If you are finding sustain a little tricky and you go, oh, I need a bit more mobility, do consider Jaws of Misrule. It's a good alternative. It's not as much damage, but it will give you loads of sustain. Or you could go Witch Mother's Potent Brew, which again is a bit more damage than Jaws of Misrule, but it will give you more mag sustain. I personally would recommend the Banana Bunny Hash. The sustain is absolutely fine with the build. For potion wise, you know this by now guys, it's a unified gaming build. It's what I do in all of my potions. It's tri potions. It's health, it's magic, it's stamina. You can buy these from the AP vendor in Cyrodiil now, so it's super useful, and it just gives you everything you need. If you need a heal, use this. If you need sustain, use this. If you're going to die, use this and a heal, and you're going to stay alive. It's super good and super versatile, so do run these if you can. If you want to run specialised potions such as detect potions or immobilize or movability potions and stuff, do consider that, but I would always use these. I'm now going to go and touch upon the sort of skills and also werewolf and vampire and that stuff. So I always get asked, is vampire needed for a gank build? The answer is yes. It's a non-negotiable. The reason why is because of the Darkstalker passive. When you sneak around, you normally get snared heavily by about 50%, which is really, really noticeable. This removes that. On top of it, as you'll see, we can get into sneak really, really quick. So when you do it, you enter into sneak really fast. And that alone is just super, super nice. On top of it, it's 3 damage when you pop out of sneak or invisibility, which we've got cloak, and it's also undeath, which is damage reduction. So when you're low health, it's like having a defense set. It's super nice. So if you're not a vampire, this build will be harder to play. It is essential in my opinion. As for the skill lines on this and the base class, as I said at the start of the video, the base class is a sorcerer. The sorcerer gives you just the best base stuff because of the class mastery with scribing, which means more damage. On top of that, we actually use 2 skill lines from the sorcerer, which means you cannot make this on any other class. We have dark magic and storm calling. If you do this, you want to have just loads and loads of these things because storm calling gives you really high burst with expert mage and amplitude and energize. These are all just 3 damage passives, as well as a range ult, which is overload, and it hits super, super hard. The crystal weapon is our delayed burst skill, very, very good. So that's why we need these 2 skill lines. We then have the shadow, which will give you access to cloak, so you don't have to use invisibility potions. This is kind of optional, so if you want to change this you can, but I do prefer this personally. For the skills themselves, we are utilizing crystal weapon. This is it's a delayed burst skill, and hear me out. So most skills like spec bow, you can charge up to 5 times and shoot it, and spec bow has about a 20,000 tooltip. This is half of that, but you don't have to charge it. The power of this skill is that when you use this, you get 5 seconds basically, where you can then attack somebody, and this is still on you, which means you can then cast Oakensoul and land both of these at once, and that's where this skill becomes so powerful. So because of that, it's essentially having a spec bow always charged whenever you want. So you cast crystal weapon and then Oakensoul. I will touch upon the scripts for this in a moment, but just know that crystal weapon is really, really, really good. And just to show that, we literally pop in stealth, cast crystal weapon, and just light attack, Oakensoul, all of it lands together. So you get really, really nice burst. I'm going to quickly show you the scripts for Oakensoul so you can make this yourself, and this is obviously the best in slot. For the scripts, you want to utilize shock damage, you then want class mastery, and you want breach. This will give you really, really high just single target damage and also major pen, so you have about 23-24k pen when we're buffed. It is super, super nasty, and that's why we hit so hard. So this is an essential skill. We then come to contingency, which is another scribe skill, and to make this one you need to go and have access to the scribing system, and you need to make sure that you've got healing, which is free. Warrior's Opportunity, this can be hard to get, so if you haven't seen it already, there is a guide on the channel on how to get all of the scripts, how to get like 10 scripts a day, super quick. Recommend doing that. It's just 3 damage. We then use Resolve, not Intellect and Endurance, because we have that buff already, so we have this for more armor still, which helps us stay alive a little longer. And if you saw the stream on the weekend, you saw that I was alive way longer than you'd think I would be with that resistance. So this is essential. It's just healing, it's damage, it's defense, it's great. The other skills we then have is Shadowy Disguise. This is our invisibility, and this lets us just get around. And then we have Streak. Streak is used for a few reasons. It's a stun, it does damage, and it's also an escape tool. So with this combined, it's just super nice. And on top of that, with the Storm Calling, it does give us more Expert Mage, which is more damage. So again, really, really good skill. I use this to finish people, or to open up, stun them, and turn around and just finish them off. This is what lets us land the burst consistently, and it's really hard to counter. We then have Energy Overload as our ultimate. This gives us sustain when we attack people, which is super nice. The range is decent, and it hits like a truck. So this is fantastic because it's dirt cheap and it's super, super damaging. So you want this. That's kind of the skills, and I know lots of people will go, what about if you're a Nightblade and you don't have access to 2 sorcerer stuff? What do you do? Just really quickly, and just bear with the UI and stuff, I would recommend if you did this then, you either pick Overload or you pick Dark Magic. I would personally suggest you pick Dark Magic. I think Crystal Weapon is more useful for burst, it's consistent. Overload is super, super nice for just tanky players, but I think Crystal was better. And I would personally use Dark Magic crystal weapon, I'd go down to the Arcanist, Herald of the Tome, and there's a skill called Tome Bearer's Inspiration. When you use this, any class ability, crystal weapons or class ability, will then proc this. And then you can morph this to Expectory Ties, you then get extra crit, you get more damage, down here, more pen, and you then put the ultimate on the bar for that more pen. And it'll give you about another 3k pen. It's similar damage, it's not as much. And then for the scribe skill, what would you do with this? It's really simple. You'd go over to the scribing system, you'll keep the shock damage, and then you'd put on some lingering torment just for another damage tick and breach. So if you were a Nightblade base class, that's how you'd tweak it. And obviously you could do that on an Arcanist base class too. It's not as much damage as a Sorcerer, and I would recommend that you do make a Sorcerer into level up. It is well worth it. It is the best gank class in the game. So yeah. I'm going to go through the champion points quick, but if you like these videos, likes and subs really help out, and if you haven't done so, leave a comment below. As for the champion points, we have Fighting Finesse, just more crit, more damage, Master at Arms for more damage, Weapons Expert for more damage on our Overload, and Deadly Aim for just more single target damage. If you are a Nightblade, just drop Weapons Expert and run Wrathful Strikes instead. On the red ones, we have Celerity for speed, we have Bastion for more damage against shielded targets, so this just means we hit shielded people harder, that's why we use this. You could drop this if you want. Pain's Refuge for just more mitigation, and Sustained by Suffering if you're on Cyrodiil, but that's more for like sustained fighting. If you are somebody like focusing on want to stay alive, do consider Fortified, do consider Boundless Vitality. These are really good ones to have, and they will keep you alive, especially the Vitality. Health is a buffer against burst, and this will help you stay alive more than the armor in my opinion. And for the green ones, we have Sustaining Shadows, this is essential. Seed's Blessing for just more speed, Gifted Rider and War Mount, but the green ones are up to you other than Sustaining Shadows. You do need this, and Seed's Blessing is very nice anyway. I'm now going to go through the sets, what we use here, and then kind of give you combos, tips and tricks at the end, and just, wrap it up there. For the sets, we are utilising the following. We have Shattered Fate. I have gone through and I have tested on stream. You can see live, I've done Shattered Fate, I've tried Torix Bat, I've tried Wrath of Imperium, I've tried Gourmand. It's just so much. It's ridiculous how much we tried. And what I found was that Shattered Fate was consistently the best damage, because penetration gives you true damage essentially. People's armor reduces your damage so much that you do need to have high pen to just bypass it. We are in a very tanky meta with lots of healing and you need really high burst. So for that reason, penetration is one of the best ways to get there, or high crit damage. But with people running Rallying Cry all of the time now, crit damage isn't as valuable as penetration, in my opinion, for most players. And for that reason, I would recommend using this. You would have saw in some of the gameplay that I did have the Black Gem Monstrosity. You can make a version where you do use this if you like the sound. It's very similar damage. The Black Gem will give you slightly more peak burst if it all crits, but it's very negligible. And if it doesn't crit, you would get more damage with the current version, which is why I'd recommend this loadout if you are to make this build. You want to have Shattered Fate on the Lightning Staff, and this needs to be sharpened with Shock. You have one piece penetration monster set. It could be Krog, it could be Falcon Scorer, it could be Black Gem, and all of your armor should be medium, full Divines, full Max Magicka. The second set is Dial Up Bray. This is a sleeper set, and I did try other damage sets with this build, and I found that Dial Up Bray, in all honesty, it gave us the ability to go in and out, and fight much more than we could otherwise. And on top of this, having two damage sets didn't really increase our time to kill. It didn't make it easier to kill people. So you're probably thinking, well, what on earth do you mean? When you try to gank somebody, and gank is the term we use to kill somebody with as little counterplay as possible, you are always limited by global cooldowns. There are only so many skills you can do at once and land at once. And sets obviously help boost those skills, but the problem is you can't boost them drastically. So if we look at, for example, our crystal weapon, it's got 9934. If you come out stealth, it goes up to 10,400. Just that alone, so let's just imagine it's a 5-piece set. It's almost 500 weapon damage we're getting. and that's only adding a couple hundred damage to our actual skill. What that basically means is that when you stack another damage set with this, which I tried, the damage increase wasn't big enough to then one-shot people with the combo. So you still had to full up anyway, at which point we didn't have to sustain. And this is why Dark Bray was the solution to this problem. So what we end up doing when we combo is we always start with our overload if it's ready. You can do this in sneak, super useful. You go behind the target in your contingency, crystal weapon, tap cloak, and you just light stack, overload, streak, a light stack. And then that lands at once. It's 150k DPS on a dummy in 1 second. It's super high burst. And what's really nice with this is because of Dark Bray, this 5-piece, whilst you are crouching and not bracing, you get this magic and stamina back. So you saw I did the combo and I just go straight into sneak and I can just reset straight away. And just open up on somebody else and do this well. The other advantage of why I use Dark Bray is for the 4-piece. It reduces the radius of people seeing you when you're invisible. What this basically means is as you sneak around, if you're in Cyrodiil and the guards are there, you can get much closer than normal. If you're in IC, you can walk next to the ads, they can't pull you out, it's super nice. And if you're being chased by a player, you could just stand still. And if you stand still and push cloak, this is then where that 5-piece becomes even more broken. While you are crouching and not bracing, you get an extra 647 recovery, or about 1,340 sustain, 80 sustain. Is super high. So if you add this 1,300 recovery to our base 1,100 recovery, we're on essentially 2.5k mag recovery. And what you'll see with cloak is cloak costs 2,700, but if you stand still, it's halved. So what this means is that we can basically sit like this infinitely. And I have done this on the stream where I am having people chase me and I just push cloak and I stand still. And if they don't have a detect potion or a reveal, they cannot pull us out of stealth. It is really nuts. And this set allows that weird interaction to happen, and it's super broken because people don't expect it. So this is a fantastic set. The final thing that I want to talk about with the set, which is why it's so good, is as you sneak around, our stamina isn't going down. If I take one of these pieces off, you'll see as we sneak, our stamina will slowly start to drain. Now, this is only a small distance, but as you're sneaking around in Battlegrounds or in Cyrodiil, and you don't have the CP, you don't have the skills leveled up, you will notice that stam pool gets really low really fast. And then when you go to open up on somebody, you do your crystal weapon, you're down to half stam. If you make a mistake, you're going to die. What Dark Bray does is as you move around, you're getting recovery back. So even though your stam recovery gets set to 0 as you sneak, this stam recovery goes to 0 when you sneak around. This set just bypasses that and it allows you to get full stam even though you're sneaking. So this is super nice because it allows you to just move around freely in sneak. So I appreciate, obviously, that is a lot of why I use Dark Bray, but I just really had to get out there, explain it because it is really undervalued and is really slept on. I just want to mention one last thing, and I know it's again the set, but it's when crouching. So if when I stand next to, if I stand here, you'll see the particles on my player are glowing, and that tells me the set is working. You can see it with little gold bits. Now if I stand next to a trial dummy in combat, and I'm detected, the particles are still working. I'm still getting this effect even though I'm detected and I'm sneaking around. So what this means is that all you have to do is just tap sneak. You literally do your combo. So I see the target, open up, tap sneak, and then push cloak. I'm still getting the sustain even though I'm detected. And I can push cloak and I get the sustain. And I can stand still, and I can't be pulled out of stealth. So this set is really strong. For the sets loadout, I said it's all Divines, all Max Magicka, and then we have 3 Swift on the jewelry, and it's all spell damage. It's 2 Dark Bray and 1 Oakensoul. The order of this is up to you. This is just what I had for the pieces because they're all, you can buy Shattered Fate from players or they can craft it, and Dark Bray is easy to get. I just happen to have lots of Dark jewelry, so that's why I went this route. You can make Shattered jewelry if you want an Oakensoul jewelry, and then Dark on the body. It's up to you what you can find. I'm now going to show a superstar, and then just kind of give you a few tips or tricks at the end of the video, and sort of wrap it up there. So if you want to see it in a one-page summary, this is it as a superstar. And yeah, I will now quickly show a slight modification if you want to tweak it. If you wanted to use the black gem, you do need to get the set called Wrath of Imperium. It's a lightning staff. And you put on 2 pieces of black gem. You then drop the Shattered Fate. You do want to keep the Dial-Up Ray. I did try both and I found it was just better. So you just drop all of your Shattered Fate or Dial-Up Ray across the board. And you end up with more damage. You want to put Imperial Wrath on the jewelry. So 1 piece on the jewelry. And 2 pieces here. And then you essentially just move these around to just get what you need. And it's a little bit awkward to do. You do get 1 piece spare on the chest. So you get trainee here. And then you just check, have you got everything in the right place? If you haven't, just move it around. And it's all in the right place. It should then have 5 Darlock, 3 Imperial Wrath, 2 Black Gem. I will show a superstar for this as well. So if you are curious, here's the superstar for this light version. So it's a slight difference. And this is if you want to use Black Gem with it, as you've got an alternative. The advantage is that you get the really cool sound effect. It's super, super fun. But yeah, I personally don't do that. I prefer the other version. The combos are going to be exactly the same whether you use either version, and they are as followed. When you see a target, charge your overload if you have it. Get yourself between the line of sight so you make sure you're behind them, always on the side or behind. And you go contingency, crystal weapon. You can do cloak if you want. You don't need to, but if you can, it's more damage. I'll do that again. It's contingency, crystal weapon, cloak, and then light attack, shock and soul, light attack, streak. That will stun the target. They will then eat the follow-up hit and you'll get the kill. If you don't have overload ready, you do exactly the same combo, so it's nice and simple. But you streak and then you turn around and do a follow-up light attack, shock and soul. So I'm going to do it again. Like that, okay? So that's kind of how you do the burst. If you are trying to stay alive, one of the best ways to stay alive is to do streak, cloak, because you've got access to 2 escape skills, or you can do roll, dodge, cloak, like that. If you're worried about dying, you can do roll, dodge, and use the contingency. So you push contingency, then roll, dodge. That will fire this. But you do contingency, roll, dodge, cloak, and then move around the corner, just stand still. You notice that I'm always tapping sneak as I do this. So imagine I CC break, I then do that cloak, tap my sneak, move somewhere. If I get pulled out, just push sneak again, stand still. You can then turn it off, and the sustain goes up really, really high. So that's how you can escape quite easily. But yeah, I'm going to kind of call it there. If you want to see more guides and like kind of how to play the build, there is a montage on the channel already. These are clips from the live stream we did recently, so you can see the burst there. And it's just super, super disgusting. If you want to see me stream, I do stream on Saturdays on YouTube at 9 PM in the UK. And I do showcase all the builds I make live, so you can always see them if you're ever unsure if they work or not. And all of this is on PCEU. If you want to actually see how to play it fully, there is obviously a gameplay guide that's coming to the channel. So for anybody who's a bronze member, you can see that. And there's also a BG included in that, which I think it's around about 28 kills to 1. It was a 25 kill streak in that match. So super, super disgusting damage. But anyway, I'm going to just wrap it here. I'm going to just say a huge thanks for watching. If you get any questions, let me know down below. But I'll catch you next video or stream. So take care, guys. And bye.